Sarah Mitchell sat alone in a cheap diner, counting coins with trembling hands. 23 cents short. Her stomach growled, her pride shattered. The waitress approached with sympathy in her eyes. "Your bill's been paid, honey," she said softly. Sarah's head snapped up. "By who?" The waitress pointed to an empty booth where a man in a black suit had been sitting moments before. Through the rain-streaked window, Sarah caught a glimpse of him disappearing into the Seattle fog. She never forgot his silver hair, his piercing blue eyes, or the way he'd looked at her like he knew her soul's deepest wounds. Seattle, 2015. Sarah Mitchell's life was unraveling faster than she could hold the pieces together. 3 months since the pharmaceutical company laid her off. 2 weeks since her landlord's final notice. 1 day since she'd eaten a proper meal. She'd walked 40 blocks in the rain to reach Murphy's Diner, the only place where a meal still cost under $5. Her nursing degree sat useless in her apartment, next to rejection letters from 17 hospitals. Overqualified, they said. Not enough experience, said others. The irony burned. Sarah had chosen the corner booth away from the families laughing over pancakes, away from the businessman on his phone closing deals. She ordered the cheapest item, toast, and eggs, and watched the rain cascade down the window, each droplet racing like her tears had that morning. Her mother's voice echoed from their last phone call. "Come home to Ohio, sweetheart. There's no shame in starting over." But Sarah couldn't. Not after promising she'd make it in the big city. Not after everyone back home had celebrated her acceptance to University of Washington. She was supposed to be the success story, the one who escaped their small town's gravitational pull. The man in the black suit had been there when she arrived, sitting 3 booths away. Distinguished, maybe 60, with silver hair and an expensive watch that caught the diner's fluorescent lights. He'd been writing in a leather journal, occasionally glancing her way. Sarah assumed he was judging her wet hair, worn jacket, counting change like a child with lunch money. When the waitress, Dolores, brought the check, Sarah's heart sank. $4.78. She had $4.55. 23 cents between dignity and humiliation. She could feel the businessman's eyes, the family's peripheral awareness. This was rock bottom, and it had an audience. "Don't worry about it, honey," Dolores whispered, sliding the check away. "It's been taken care of." Sarah's mind raced. "What? I don't understand. The gentleman in the black suit, he paid your bill and left this?" Dolores handed her a napkin with elegant handwriting. "Every storm passes, keep going. A friend who understands." Sarah turned, but the booth was empty. Through the window, she saw him entering a black town car. Their eyes met for one impossible moment. He nodded slightly, then vanished into the city's gray embrace. That night, Sarah stared at the napkin until the words blurred. A stranger's kindness had preserved more than her dignity, had preserved her hope. The next morning, she applied to Columbia Medical Center one more time, mentioning in her cover letter that she understood what it meant to need help, to be vulnerable, to have nothing but determination. They called within a week. The years that followed transformed Sarah from a desperate woman in a diner to Dr. Sarah Mitchell, one of Seattle's most compassionate emergency physicians. She never forgot the stranger's kindness. Every month, she'd return to Murphy's Diner, secretly paying for someone's meals, single mothers. Elderly veterans, college students counting coins. She'd leave the same message. Every storm passes. Keep going. She specialized in treating the homeless, the uninsured, the forgotten. Her colleagues called her the angel of the ER, never knowing that an angel had once saved her with $4.78 and 7 words on a napkin. 5 years passed, then 10. The memory of the silver-haired stranger became her talisman, her reminder that kindness could change a life's trajectory. She'd sometimes scan crowds, hoping to see him, to thank him, to tell him what his gesture had sparked. October 23, 2025, a typical Thursday. Night shift turned extraordinary when paramedics rushed in with a cardiac patient. Male, 60s, found collapsed at Pike Place Market, they announced. Sarah grabbed her stethoscope, moving with practiced efficiency until she saw the patient's face. Silver hair, now thinner. The same piercing blue eyes, now clouded with pain. The expensive watch, now accompanied by a medical bracelet she hadn't noticed in the diner. It was him. "Doctor, he's crashing," the nurse called. She worked with fierce determination, electric paddles in hand, medications flowing through IVs. 30 minutes of fighting death, of refusing to let him slip away. Finally, a steady rhythm returned to the monitors. Hours later, he woke in the ICU. Sarah stood by his bedside, the napkin laminated and worn in her pocket as always. "You," he whispered, recognition flooding his features. "You saved me once," Sarah said, tears threatening. "In Murphy's diner, 10 years ago," he smiled weakly. "I know who you are, Sarah. I've always known." Confusion washed over her. "How? Why?" "Your father," he said, each word an effort. "Vietnam, 1971. He saved my life. He carried me 3 miles through jungle after I stepped on a mine. Lost his own leg saving mine." Sarah's breath caught. Her father had died when she was 2. She knew nothing about his service except that he'd been a hero. "I promised him," the man continued, "if anything happened to him, I'd watch over his family. I've been ... watching. The pharmaceutical company that laid you off? I'm on the board. I fought the decision, but couldn't stop it. So I followed you instead. Made sure you were safe. That day in the diner, I saw him in your eyes. The same determination, the same refusal to give up. I couldn't let his daughter lose hope. The job at Columbia... "No," he interrupted firmly. "That was all you. I just paid for toast and eggs. You became a doctor because you're Robert Mitchell's daughter. You have his heart, his courage." Sarah pulled out the laminated napkin. "This changed my life. Your mother changed mine first. I'm James Harrison, tech billionaire philanthropist and alive because a young soldier thought my life was worth his leg." Sarah saved James Harrison that night, just as her father had 54 years earlier. During his recovery, he shared stories of her father, his humor, his bravery, how he'd talked about his baby daughter during quiet nights in the jungle. Sarah finally understood the man she'd never known. James established the Robert Mitchell Foundation, providing meals and support for struggling healthcare workers. Sarah became its medical director, ensuring no nurse or student doctor would ever count coins in a diner, wondering if their dreams were worth pursuing. Every month, they returned to Murphy's diner together. They'd sit in separate booths, watching for someone who needed what Sarah had needed, not just a free meal, but proof that strangers could be angels, that kindness was a circle, not a line. The napkin's message evolved in Sarah's mind. Every storm does pass, but sometimes we need someone to remind us that we're strong enough to weather it. Her father had been James's reminder. James had been hers. Now she could be someone else's. Duck. In the end, $4.78 hadn't just bought breakfast. It had purchased a legacy of compassion that rippled through generations, proving that the smallest acts of kindness could echo through decades, binding strangers into family. Some say angels walk among us, disguised as strangers in diners, as soldiers in jungles, as doctors in emergency rooms. Sarah Mitchell knows better. Angels aren't disguised, they're revealed in our moments of deepest need, when someone sees our storm and whispers, "Keep going." If this story touched your heart, remember, you might be someone's angel today without knowing it. One small act, one paid bill, one word of encouragement could change a life forever. Subscribe to Threads of Life for more stories that remind us why compassion is the most powerful force in the universe. Because every storm passes, and sometimes we just need someone to believe it with us.